You're now making movies for 16-year-olds and China. And that's it.
I was watching a web series called The Studio on Apple TV, something that I would highly recommend to all of you. And you do know that I, like a tape recorder, keep on talking about the risk-averse nature of this industry, how it's only IP or franchise-driven, and how essentially everything has become hollow regarding storytelling. In this web series, there is an episode where the production company that Seth Rogen represents has acquired the rights of Kool-Aid. Kool-Aid, for every Indian who doesn't know, is like a flavored drink mix that is usually popular in the States. Think of it like Tang in multiple flavors. Now, because the brand itself is so popular among a young demographic, the heads of the production company assume it to be a viable film idea. Seth Rogen, who essentially has to piece this project together, has to rope in directors who formulate a story around the Kool-Aid man. And because Seth is a purist when it comes to storytelling, he wants the best of both worlds. So what better than roping in a genius for an IP idea? So he pitches the idea to Martin Scorsese of all people, who wants to make a film on the Jonestown Massacre, a cult where 900 people died in a mass murder, but it will only be greenlit if he calls it Kool-Aid Man. This is of course satire, but it is not far away from the truth. Day before yesterday, I saw a Minecraft movie in theaters. A movie clearly intended for a young demographic in China. A film that is bang average in every capacity, that banks off of references of gameplay, and it has led to astonishing financial results. You remember Anthony Mackie saying in the introduction that the movies today are made for 16-year-olds in China? A Minecraft movie made over $300 million at the global box office in the opening weekend, which also includes the biggest opening for a Hollywood film in China in 2025. What was being just told in random interviews can be seen in reality, and these are with extremely mediocre products. The name of the game is either refreshing IPs or extending franchises. Nothing more and nothing less. If you were to especially just see last year and the biggest hits from Hollywood, the top 10 highest grossing films are either refreshed classic IPs or installments of an existing franchise. There is literally no original idea that became a blockbuster, so why would the decision makers change their strategy in any way? The current predicament regarding movies and their state was explained by Matt Damon in an interview with Hot Ones, where he spoke about how an original idea could have a box office run back in the day and a second innings because of the physical sales of DVDs that would be sometimes at par with the box office through ticket sales. When this second innings was completely wiped away as a revenue model and streaming platforms became extremely cutthroat regarding the prices they pay for movies, this second innings has almost disappeared. So a movie like Good Will Hunting or what Matt Damon references like Behind the Candelabra just doesn't seem feasible for production companies anymore.
You could afford to not make all of your money when it played in the theater because you knew you had the DVD coming behind the release, and 6 months later you'd get a whole nother chunk. It would be like reopening the movie almost.
In a very ideal world, we would like to believe that pitch meetings are really looking out for something striking, original and compelling. But I've spoken to several writers who do their rounds around Aramnagar. I won't say Aramnagar, but Andheri West in general. And they are often told examples of existing products and instructed to make something similar. If you think that those calling the shots are creatives or purists in any way, you have to realize that they have been taken over by people mostly looking at graphs and permutations and combinations that may work on paper. This followed by the huge dependence that Indian production companies have placed on the revenue stream they get from streaming platforms. Now things have become so bad that the streaming platforms are taking calls on casting, the theme of the story, and the possible date in which the film should release. There is a scene from a web series on Amazon Mini TV called Industry starring Gagan Arora, where he is pitching an idea to a production company as a writer.
ये स्क्रिप्ट आपने खुद लिखी है या there's a co-writer attached?
जी, कहानी प्रेमचंद के बड़े भाई साहब पे आधारित है और स्क्रीन प्ले मेरा है.
ठीक है, cool. Then just get the Premchand guy next time for the meeting. I'll get him to sign the LOI. Cool?
This particular scene is actually based on a real-life incident that a writer experienced. What I have also realized is that the audience does not mind the saturation of IPs and franchises unless it is done well and promises an experience on the big screen. When you see Tom Cruise refresh an IP like Top Gun after 36 years, he ensures that the wait is bloody hell worth it. When you see the same actor in the final chapter of Mission Impossible giving it all that it takes in every frame of the trailer, you feel compelled to buy the ticket. Look at an exhilarating trailer like F1 starring Brad Pitt. You know the film is closely associated with the league and what they are representing, and in turn they leave no stone unturned in guaranteeing the experience as if you are in the driver's cockpit. You look at an IP like Tron getting refreshed with Tron Ares, an IP that has been relevant since almost 4 decades, and the audience is more than willing to step in for a film and its vision when the output is exceptional. Something that is as clear as day from the trailer that just dropped a few days ago. The bar is exceptionally high, and I think Indian audiences are more than justified to just expect more from their favorite stars. The issue in India versus the West is that the heroes here call the shots, whereas the production companies and their heads in the West are the people in charge. The only creators who can get away with making original stories and production companies still backing it include Christopher Nolan making a Ulysses now, a Tarantino possibly making his last film with The Movie Critic, and Wes Anderson, who seems to be in his own multiverse of films. This change has also happened in India because the heads of content across the board in established production companies are not creatives anymore. International companies tried the same in the 2000s and 2010s, but were crushed by the likes of Shah Rukh Khan and Yash Raj. I think we spoke about this statement by Shah Rukh Khan, where he spoke about what made Disney so special back in the day, or what made Yash Johar or Yash Chopra stand out was that they were directors who then gained financial power. But when you have heads of content who are essentially marketing corporate head honchos, it's bound to become less creative and more analytical. The scary part I think about today is, who after Aditya Chopra? Who after Karan Johar? Who after Dinesh Vijan? For their respective companies. Hindi cinema, and I think a part of Telugu cinema, is dealing with this same franchise and IP obsession. I still believe that Telugu cinema is in a better position than Hindi cinema because its stars are working with directors who have become stars in their own right and can be backed with original ideas. So you have a Mahesh Babu working with S.S. Rajamouli for a project that is widely under wraps and seems exciting. You have Prabhas working with Sandeep Reddy Vanga on Spirit, another original idea. You have Allu Arjun collaborating with Atlee with what seems like a parallel world zombie fest, which seems like an absolutely wild idea. The dependence becomes clear when Nani is doing a hit 3 and it has more hype compared to a Dasra or a Saripoda Sanivaram because it has a callback value. A similar situation for someone like Sidhu, who struggles with original titles like Jack, but his franchise Tillu does a box office revenue of over 100 crores. Hindi cinema in general, regarding its lineups, seems at a loss for new ideas, and if it does have something fresh, it packages it in a way that it seems like an extension of a franchise. Just look at Akshay Kumar's lineup. His film Kesari Chapter 2 looks extremely intriguing, I won't lie, and is based on the legal battle between Sir Sankaran Nair and Michael O'Dyer. Nair had resigned from his position as the executive counsel to the Viceroy in protest of the gruesome Jallianwala Bagh massacre, for which he held Dyer responsible. Dyer sued Nair for the same, and the case was tried in London in 1924, forming the major crux of the film. This is a film that I am genuinely excited for because both Akshay Kumar and Madhavan look in great form in the trailer. But the crazy situation about the state of films today is that this movie was first called Sankaran, then it was called Sankaran Nair vs. The Crown, then for a while it was the untitled Dharma Project, and then finally Kesari Chapter 2, because it has to clock in the heads of the audience to have some recall value, even if the thread connecting the two films is paper thin. Akshay's next projects include Houseful 5, Jolly LLB 3, Welcome to the Jungle, and Hera Fairy 3, all installments of a franchise. The king, however, of this trend and who seems to have no intention in changing his creative outlook or method is Ajay Devgan. Even though I think it's a great casting choice to have Ajay face off with Ritesh Deshmukh in Raid 2, Ajay has been sporting the same look, demeanor and aura in all of his films lately, accounting for a lack of surprise with all of his appearances. His next ventures after Raid 2 include Son of Sardar 2, De De Pyar De 2 and Shaitan 2. What's slightly saddening for me is that Ajay as an actor and creator gave us hopes that his title of Franchise of the Unsung Warriors after Tanaji would be a reality. Everyone assumed that Ajay will bring in the forefront many stories of unsung warriors, and this creative prospect seems to be in the back burner as he seems fully booked with these installments.
तो हम इस franchise में हर जगह के ऐसे warriors next time पंजाब से हो सकते हैं या राजस्थान से हो सकते हैं या तो उनको जहाँ पे लोकल लोग ज़्यादा जानते हैं उनको पूरे देश में लेके जाया जाए कि ये लड़े पूरे देश के लिए थे और इनके सैक्रिफाइसेस बहुत बड़े थे.
You have Hrithik, who is mainly sticking to the franchise models of War 2 and Krish 4, making also everyone assume that this might be the death of Hrithik the actor and more of a transition period to let go of the cape and mask with that one last hooray and fully take up the role of a director. You have Tiger, who seems to be in muddy waters for a long time in his career and is banking off of the nostalgia at this point with Baghi 4. Even an actor like Nusrat Bharucha, who I believe is largely ignored from the mainstream in Bollywood, is holding on to some relevance with a project like Chori 2. That is the nature of the industry now, that one needs to hold on to at least something that is successful, because casting otherwise just seems to be not happening for a certain section of actors. I mean, an actor like Karthik Aaryan has to credit franchises and IPs to being a bankable star today, because otherwise all of his original ideas seem to fall flat. You had Satyaprem Ki Katha doing average business, Chandu Champion failing at the box office, whereas Pati Patni Aur Wo and Bhool Bhulaiya, despite their mediocre content, doing exceptionally well financially. He identifies the same, and his next lineup includes desperately trying to make sure that the Anurag Basu directed film with Srilila gets titled Ashiki 3. But the Bhatt camp are refusing to budge, hence a movie promo being released without even the title of the film being confirmed. His other films include Pati Patni Aur Wo 2 and a Dharma project called Tu Meri Main Tera Toot Meri. I don't give about what that project is. Sorry, I don't know about you, but I have a headache with these titles already. I think the right balance where the Indian audience does not mind such IPs being refreshed or a cinematic world being created is how the Maddock universe is extending its slate, where original concepts and ideas can be explored, the only catch being that it has to be connected to a universe. Clearly telling the audience that this is not an afterthought now, but something that we are carefully crafting for the end game battle. This is something that Prashant Verma is also trying to do with his superhero universe. The only directors, as I previously said, who seem to have carved out a niche for themselves outside of this franchise and IP-obsessed model include S.S. Rajamouli, Sandeep Reddy Vanga, Sanjay Leela Bansali, Mani Ratnam, and possibly, if ever, Karan Johar identifies himself as a director. There may be an exhaustion of this trend in a few years amongst the audience, but you can be rest assured that the next 3 years, we will see many more part 2s and part 3s popping out. And your favorite 80s comic book or superhero get their own movie. I mean, I don't mind a Chacha Chaudhary series or a Rana Daggupati wanting to do an Amar Chitrakatha character spin-off. It's just that the intention should be there to create something spectacular versus just banking off of the nostalgia and callbacks. Like every other Arsenal fan, I can just say,
it's the hope that kills you.
And that was a video, guys. Write down in the comments below what you think about the current state of films and the franchise and IP model obsession. Please don't forget to follow me on Instagram. The handle's right in front of you. Follow me at JammyPants4. Also, please support us by smashing the like button and subscribing to our channel for weekly content ahead. Thank you for watching.